Where's Brian? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin here shortly. Mr. Penna? Calling Mr. Penna? Calling Mr. Penna? Yeah. Wow. 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 Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the City Council meeting. Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Let's convene the meeting. Do we want to do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Whitman.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Sanders.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna. Mayor Taylor.
Here. So we're going to make two changes to the agenda. One would be to move I-1 before the consent calendar, and we're also going to pull consent calendar item G, was it 10?
That's
To
correct.
to discussion. Yes, we can. But let's do that. Just can we get approval of these changes in the agenda, and then we can do a flag salute. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So do I have a motion to make these? Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, there we go. Let's get a flag salute going. Count of three. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, amen. So we're on to proclamations and presentations. Visit Greater Palm Springs. Scott White, are you here? Very good. Welcome.
Hey, Scott.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Council, how are you today? We appreciate the opportunity to be presenting you with an update. I believe all of you got the full packet of our information for our goals and objectives for 26. Don't worry, we're not going to go through all of those. We're just going to give you a quick high-level overview
Thank you.
of what's happening within our organization. And I have Colleen Pace, our Chief Sales and Marketing Officer, with us, and Davis Meyer, our Vice President of Industry Relations and Government Affairs. So with that, just really want to talk about the economic impact of tourism. As we know, tourism is the #1 industry for the Coachella Valley. It continues to grow. We've seen great things happening in 2024. We're going to be doing a study for 2025 as well. But we're kind of getting back to those pre-COVID numbers. We're going after 14 million visitors, 9 billion in economic impact. So things are really good, things that are positive. We see 2026 moving in the right direction as well. Destination Stewardship Plan, our master plan. We did a master plan in 2016. It was a 10-year plan that just is concluding this year. We've now engaged Hunden Partners. They'll be starting with us in March. They're going to do a complete regional plan that will really look at the region holistically in terms of how do we continue to grow tourism. One of the things that we're doing a little bit different this time is we've asked them to do 9 individual city tourism master plans. So they've added that to their scope. We will be funding that 100%. So they'll work with the City of Indian Wells, the staff, and the team to develop what is the right plan for this destination, for this city going forward, to provide ideas, benchmarking, best practices, anything and everything that you might be interested in that will be funded by us. We're excited to be working with them. Hunden has a global presence, great experience in this field. We're really excited. We had an RFP process. We had 6 companies that bid on this. We narrowed it down to 3. We did interviews, and Hunden became the final selection for all of that. And then we also do a lot of research. Everything we do is steeped in what we want to know. We're doing a resident sentiment study. Will be taking place through the middle of this year. Image and awareness study to really look at how's our marketing? Is it effectiveness? What do people think of it? We're tracking the brand awareness. Visitor intercept study took place last year. So visitors that were in the marketplace, we had people out and about throughout the marketplace asking questions. Where are you from? How long are you staying? What are you doing? What would you like to see? And so forth. We're going to do a meeting study, restaurant week survey, and we're going to have new dashboards launching this year as well, so people can access the data and information in real time. So priorities of focus, and this is from the board that was set 2 years ago, and it will continue. We do this every 2 years with our board and JPA. Increased demand. We really want to make sure that we can increase demand throughout the year, but with a special focus on certain times of the year, like the summertime. We'll continue to work on marketing and improving air service for off-peak. As you know, our air service grows significantly during season, and it kind of dissipates in the summertime. How do we get more year-round service? So we have a third-party company we work with We're working on trying to get more year-round service to say places like Chicago, Atlanta, the East Coast, and so forth. The sports strategy, one of our goals is to build an indoor sports complex, which I think we've all kind of talked a little bit about as well, and continue to diversify the economy, which is a new initiative for us. Sean Smith is our economic development director. He's working with Davis and the team on doing that. And then, of course, we still work on sustainability, cultural heritage, accessibility. Thank you for all your partnership on being autism certified and community engagement. So air service, just a real quick update. This is some of the new service that's kind of coming to the market this year that we worked with Avion Pacific. New service to Boise. Santa Rosa came back with Alaska. It used to be with Avelo in the past. Portland's increasing frequency. Charlotte's new for us into the destination. Chicago's increased. Southwest has added Austin. One of the big players that we were excited about is United added nonstop service to Newark. And then DC, Dulles is also United. We had that last year. We do a contract with them for that service. They're coming back this year. Hopefully it'll sustain itself in the future. We don't have to do a contract. And of course, Delta added JFK as well. It's a Saturday only service, but that's how they started Atlanta. So we're excited that we may continue to grow service into the East Coast. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Colleen Pace, and she'll talk to you convention sales and marketing. Yes, sir.
Thanks. I had the opportunity and privilege to come to your meeting recently for Brian, who couldn't make it, and saw your presentation of the 2026 goals. If we could, can you go back to the research section?
Yes.
Because this is something that really I noted. Your number one item there is resident sentiment study, and as I looked at it, it's to capture resident perceptions, the impact of tourism on the quality of life and the community benefit to guide responsible growth and stakeholder alignment. And that is a separate category that you're studying and you're going to break out and report on, correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. Let me just get to the place So starting out with convention sales is a very important part of our tourism ecosystem. These are the results that the team accomplished in 2025. So 262 plus thousand room nights booked into the destination. That was 428 meetings that supported 82,000 plus jobs and had $238 million in economic impact. This is the highest number we've had since 2018. So we're really proud of the team and the success that we've seen in bringing and attracting meetings and conventions to the destination. We also have a goal, as Scott mentioned, off-peak time periods is very important to us for convention sales as well. So we set goals against those. So we have May and September as a shoulder season, summer, and last year Q4 was identified with our hotel partners as a need period. So we put some goals to those and we're able to accomplish the following room nights that you see on the slide booked into those time periods. These are the Indian Wells specific time period into the need period. So again, for May, September, summer, and Q4, those are the number of room nights that were booked into Indian Wells specific properties. And then this is the Indian Wells specific groups that were booked, leads that were sent to the Indian Wells properties, bookings, room nights booked, and the estimated total economic impact of $49 million. We also, our objectives, we covered this in our packet a little more extensively, but we have our off-peak focus, which Scott and I both mentioned. We have our partnerships and collaborations. So those are our strategic partners like Merritt's, Prestige, Helms Briscoe, Conference Direct, a lot of strategic partners that we align with to reach their audience. We also work with Palm Beaches in Florida to do an east-west rotation. So we're able to capitalize on that and really maximize our reach with clients and customers. We're also reestablishing a CAB, a customer advisory board this year, and it will have a mentor-mentee structure so we can learn from the younger generation of meeting planners. On to marketing. Here is an overview of all the campaigns that we run throughout the year. So they're either always on or seasonal. There's 16 campaigns here covering all the pillars that you see here. So you can see everything from our brand campaign to our summer campaign to time to fly campaign, promoting all of our direct flights that Scott was mentioning. So all of these campaigns are running either always or during certain times of the year. And here's an overview of the results that we garnered in 2025. So 30.8 billion impressions. That's 800 million more impressions than we had last year or in 2024. So more people than ever are seeing our advertising and our brand. You can see how that breaks down into television spots, website users, social media, and video views. And then, of course, event support. This is really important to support all of the wonderful events we have. Indian Wells has many of those. You can see a few examples here that we promote. We ran a sweepstakes in partnership with the Desert Champions. We have billboards that run in LA and San Diego to support these events. The Epson Tour, which we supported as well. And then for goals and objectives for 2026, focusing on a couple of new campaigns that we're building out, Where You Shine, that's going to be focused on our international market, talking about how welcoming we are as a destination in the state of California, but also in Greater Palm Springs, as well as targeting our LGBTQ audiences with that messaging as well. Our pillar support, we have a new escape series I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes. So we'll be promoting that with a full media plan. And again, it's content that really gets people excited about all the ways they can experience Greater Palm Springs and Indian Wells in unique and different ways. Social media series, and then we'll have a new summer campaign this summer as well that we're working on. We also have some strategic partnerships. We have the Expedia Ambassador Summit coming to our destination in a couple of weeks. 40 content creators will be in market covering all of the experiences they have. One of them is at the Living Desert, so that'll be really exciting to see the content they create for that. We also have a partnership with TED, so we're able to really capitalize on that C-suite audience, and that really aligns with our economic development as well as convention sales and leisure initiatives. This year we have Restore Lounge, which is sort of where you can take a break from all the content. It's going to be branded Greater Palm Springs. And then we also have a custom content program that we're building out as well. Internationally, you can see here, I've listed some of the initiatives this year for international. Germany, we've launched some China social media channels, Canadian efforts, and also really capitalizing on the global spotlight we'll have for the World Cup and the Olympics.
What is that? Wait a second. It's a sign.
So Ken is actually one of the influencers attending the Ambassador Summit. There's a partnership with Mattel, so we'll be able to capitalize on the brand of Mattel as well as our partnership with Expedia. So his first stop is Greater Palm Springs. And then here is an example of one of the escape series, and this highlights some of the wonderful Indian Wells experiences.
Forget what you think you know about desert dining, because here, the heat lives in the kitchen. It's an art form, passed on from generation to generation. Handmade, heartfelt, and plated with care. The kind of craft that isn't measured in volume, but in the details. In the quiet pursuit of perfection, where precision meets ritual in a single, deliberate moment. This isn't just good food. This is storytelling. And just when you think you've had it all, someone sets fire to the rulebook.
I heard people used to come here for golf but leave for dinner. Now it's all about dinner. Guess our work here is done. What am I saying? We're just getting started.
Here in Greater Palm Springs, the drinks are bold, the chefs are brilliant, and the meals? Well, you'll be telling stories about them long after your plates are cleared.
Also, as part of our Canadian efforts, we're providing a toolkit to local businesses where they can display their appreciation for our Canadian residents. So that'll be coming out this month. And then PR communications, I'll go through this really quickly. These are the results that we had in all of the earned media that we covered and received in 2025. Again, this was another record-setting year. And some of the highlights that we had specific to Indian Wells. So a lot of great coverage that we earned through hosting media, FAMs, and also our PR agencies, which we have domestically and all over the world. And with that, I will turn it over to Davis.
Now we're running up on time here, so I will hit the highlights here. In terms of economic development, as we look into 2026, we're really looking forward to sharing the insights and recommendations from the Coachella Valley Regional Specific Economic Development Strategic Plan that was done in partnership with Riverside County's Economic Development Strategic Plan at the end of last year. We'll be working with our city partners and stakeholders to implement that plan, as well as our regional partners. And some of the recommendations we'll be working on with our cities closely is the recommendation for developing a business retention task force, as well as an advisory board of industry. And we're also looking forward to fully implementing that brand and marketing campaign, as well as expanding our presence at industry events, conferences, and doing more site visits and tours to bring potential business into the Coachella Valley. Another goal for us this year, a major priority, is this indoor amateur sports complex that hopefully you're very familiar with us talking about at this point. It's a top priority, finding a location and partners that can really bring this to life. It's crucial for driving visitation in the summer and in our off-peak periods as we move forward. And so we're continuing to meet with partners, as well as working with Cosmont on really identifying what funding is possible in the different locations that we've identified. And then Restaurant Week and Spa Month. So Greater Palm Springs Restaurant Week will be back May 29th to June 7th. We had 121 restaurants participating last year and all of our cities sponsoring. So we really appreciate that from the City of Indian Wells. We look forward to continuing to grow this event, as well as continuing to add to it with additional events around it. Spa Month was a great success. Last September, we kicked it off. We had wonderful participation from across the valley, 111 offers and 50 spas participating. So we will continue that for 2026 as well, driving health and wellness in that fall season. In terms of workforce development and our efforts around youth engagement, we had some great successes last year. I think one of the things for us that's been most encouraging is our scholarship fund. When we first started it, it was pulling teeth to get a handful of people to apply for a college scholarship for tourism careers. Now we had 181 applications this year from students across the valley, and just really speaks to the work in engaging our students and our hospitality industry. We also had 252 new destination ambassadors. That program is now fully available online. And we'll continue to grow that in 2026. This year, new for the foundation and in coordination with Restaurant Week, we're going to be doing a student chef dinner, sort of a high-end experience where we have some locally grown chefs partnering with culinary students from La Quinta High School and Rancho Mirage High School's culinary programs to put on a fundraising dinner. We'll also launch our Visionary Leaders program in partnership with College of the Desert. This is sort of the next evolution of our Emerging Leaders program that we started with them a couple of years ago. This is really targeting growing our next directors and GMs and CEOs here locally, and helping to provide that leadership support. And then I'm going to end on a thank you again for supporting Destination Autism Certification. We achieved that in 2025 and are looking forward to growing that in 2026. And thank you for the grant program that you approved at the end of last year.
Try to go as fast as we could. So we're done. Any questions at all?
Gentlemen, any questions?
If I may, Scott, first of all, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Thank you for everything that you and your organization do for the city of Indian Wells. As you know, we're very tourist dependent. So we really depend upon you, and you never fail to deliver. One thing that you do is you provide us with reams of statistics on how we're doing tourist-wise. I have a little bit of a different barometer. IW Coffee draws tourists like a magnet. And I got to tell you, that place has been slammed lately. Are we feeling an uptick in tourism here?
Yeah, well, going into 2026, all the hotels were reporting very strong first quarter. Group business was strong for the year. Leisure is always that factor that we don't know what's going to happen because it's obviously last minute. The first part of January was like normal. It's always a little bit slower, kind of the first 2 weeks. And then let's say the last 2 weeks, when we look at the STAR report, which is the report that we get in terms of people staying in hotels and so forth, really increased dramatically over last year. So yes, I think I like to give credit to our team for all the great marketing and everything they have. It doesn't hurt that it's freezing in the rest of the world, and we're promoting the fact that it's 80 degrees here in January. I think that's helped a lot. But certainly, as you know, we're in high season, we're a fly market, so those individuals have to plan in advance for that. So we want to think that a lot of people were planning and realized that this destination has so much to offer. But I like your barometer. We'll go hang out
yeah.
at IW Coffee
You-
more often and we'll start taking some surveys over
You,
there.
you
See where
validated
people are
my
coming from.
barometer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have questions?
No question.
I have
No,
a- go ahead.
no questions. I just want to thank you for the presentation. As always, it's very exciting, full of data, and we truly value our partnership with you. And I'm also very happy to be on this committee with you. As when the meetings do show up, they're just like this. You get to watch the great video. You get to see all the numbers and entertainment value and everything you do for outreach across the globe. And I just want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
You mentioned there was $40 million of bookings that was attributed to
Economic impact for Indian Wells specifically.
Indian Wells, yeah. So how is that measured? I mean, how do you track that?
So there's an organization called Destinations International. They partner up with Tourism Economics and they created software. Within that software, we have to plug in the group, what their rate is, how many people are coming, how many nights, room nights, and so forth. And it uses data that they're getting through Riverside County in terms of the expenses and so forth. And it does an output in terms of the number of jobs, economic impact, and so forth. And I can tell you, I'm part of Destinations International. I know those figures are very conservative. They want to err on the side of conservative. So I think those numbers are actually going to be higher than what they are, but that's the system that we use.
So does it mean that someone who wants to book a hotel in Indian Wells comes through Visit Greater Palm Springs?
Correct. And that's basically showing what we've
Just
part
you.
of, just us.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's going to be much greater than that. When you start to include what the Hyatt, Esmeralda, and so forth have at their. So that's only what we've actually contributed. So,
and then lastly, just for the sake of everybody's knowledge, how is Visit Greater Palm Springs funded?
So about 90% of our funding comes from a tourism business improvement district. So it's hotels and vacation rentals. And then about 8% comes from the cities across the Coachella Valley. So your contribution is a percentage of your TOT. So the number from last year was, I think, $237,000. Group alone generated 1.3 million in TOT revenue for the city. So 4 times the contribution back to us. And that doesn't include leisure and travel trade and everything else that kind of happens with it as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's pretty good off the top of your head, I must say.
I try to look at it before I come here a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yep. Second presentation is Sunline Rides, Reimagined. So who do we have from Sunline? Oh, great. Luis Garcia,
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
CFO.
Yes, council members, thank you for the opportunity to present today, and a special thanks to Councilmember Whitman, who serves as our primary board of directors for City of Indian Wells, and also to other members here who I know have served in the past. My name is Luis Garcia. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Sunline Transit Agency, and which is a public transportation provider for residents of the Coachella Valley. I'm joined by Isabel Vizcarra, who's in the audience. She's our Chief Transportation Officer. I'm here on behalf of our CEO, Mona Babauta. She couldn't be here today. She had a conflict with another city council meeting regarding the same topic. The purpose of the presentation today is to inform you that we are engaging the community to receive feedback on the services that Sunline provides. The initiative is known as Sunline Rides Reimagined and will span the period of about 18 months. We are in the first part of that process, which will include many touch points with the community and our board along the way we will discuss in today's presentation. Next year will be our 50th anniversary, and with providing public transportation within the Coachella Valley, and a comprehensive operational analysis such as the one we're undertaking right now is important to ensure that we're meeting the community's needs as much as possible. The last COA that we did was in 2019, and obviously COVID-19 had an impact on many industries, including public transit. So we know that rider preferences and tendencies have changed. So we want to go out to the public and make sure that we are meeting the community's needs. This slide offers a bit of an overview for those not intimately familiar with Sunline. Sunline is a joint powers authority that was formed in 1977, made up of the cities within the Coachella Valley, including the Riverside County to cover the unincorporated areas of the Coachella Valley. Our service characteristics, we operate about 1,120 square miles, which is roughly the size of Rhode Island. We offer 4 primary modes of service. The first being fixed route, which is those big buses you see going around the valley. That's known as the Sun Bus. That provides the majority of our ridership. We also have paratransit service, which is those smaller buses referred to as sundial. That is a service that disabled people are able to qualify for if they are unable to utilize a fixed route service. And that operates off of reservations in advance and operates 3/4 of a mile within our fixed route services, and it mirrors the times and locations of that service. One of our newer services is microtransit. This is similar to TNCs, which is like Uber and Lyft type of service. We operate 8 different zones within the Coachella Valley. So you're able to, as long as you're within a zone, able to do on-demand service and get picked up at a location and be dropped off at a point of interest to help you get directly where you need to go, or even better, connect to one of our stops to get you to a last mile, first mile solution for our fixed route service so you can access more of the Coachella Valley. And lastly, we have the Commuter Link, which is our commuter route service that operates from the city of Indio, goes through the 10 freeway, has a few stops, and ultimately ends in the city of San Bernardino at the transit center, which we have a lot of students that utilize that service from the Cal State University San Bernardino, which is one of our location stops here in the desert and also in San Bernardino. And we at the transit center, we do have an opportunity for people to ride there and access greater Los Angeles area through the rail and other services offered at that location. Lastly, we have a taxi voucher program where Sunline subsidizes up to $75 per month for individuals 60 and older or who are disabled, and essentially are able to utilize up to $150, which are matched by Sunline to utilize for taxi service. So you can call a taxi and just pay for that fare to go anywhere within the Coachella Valley. And with all of our services, we have approximate ridership of about 3 million rides each year. There you go. Here, this slide demonstrates a high-level summary of our planned process with this initiative. Public engagement is very important to our board and also our staff. As you can see, there's 3 periods in which we will be reaching out to the public. Each period of a public engagement will include different means of outreach, including city council meetings, community groups, surveys, both online and paper, and virtual and in-person meetings across the valley. Some of the questions we want to know are: where and how often should transit run? What kind of service is appropriate in different locations? Should service be concentrated around job centers and in more densely populated areas? And in general, should we focus more on maximizing ridership, or should we focus more on a coverage model to operate in broader areas within the Coachella Valley? We are asking everybody who would like to participate to give us their feedback on our service.
Okay, so this isn't a random sample of individuals. These are people who've come forward themselves and want to participate. Is that it?
Yes. So we're trying through all these public engagements, trying to get the word out, and as much people as we can get to who utilize our service. Obviously, we want to know how we can improve our service for our current riders, but people who don't ride our service at all or on a regular basis, we want to know why not. Maybe we can attract more riders and improve our service for those individuals.
Could I just comment that surprisingly, Indian Wells has the second most cohort of people who are responding to the survey from the cities behind Palm Springs. At least at the time of our last meeting, 137
Correct.
Indian Wells residents had answered the survey.
Well, again, are these people that know anything about transportation, or are they just people who like to answer questions?
So we have a bit of a mix. So it's interesting, at least. So this week we are going out to engaging our riders at bus stops. So I anticipate the numbers to be changed here soon. but up to date, we have different metrics where we're having for Sunbus, the big fixed route bus, we have about 50% of the respondents have not utilized the service within the last month. The rest have used it more frequent. For paratransit and microtransit, we have about 80% who have not utilized our service within the last month. So
So you have a way of weighting the opinion of someone who has never used it and never will use it. And that is weighted differently than the opinion of somebody who uses it or might use it in the future.
correct.
Fine, that's all I care about. Thank you. These people don't know anything, but yet they like to answer questions.
Correct.
Okay.
So each time we do receive the feedback and these different points of time within this timeline, we're gonna bring the information back, produce some maps internally with different alternatives, and then come back to the public and say, here's what we thought we heard. Is this, you give us some feedback on that, then come back again, obviously engage the board within that time frame, and then ultimately come back with a service model that will be approved and demonstrated to the public and approved by our board. So that concludes my presentation. I'd like to highlight here, you can scan this QR code for anybody who would like to participate in the survey. You can also follow that link there. The surveys can also be completed through a paper survey. We have left some at the entrance of this room for anybody who wants to fill out a paper survey and mail them in. Those are available in English and Spanish. And I want to highlight the fact that we have a lot of responses from the city of Indian Wells, which is great. We want to get as many as we can. We have still some time to until the end of this month to receive responses. As an incentive, there is an opportunity for respondents to win a $50 or $100 gift card. And that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? I had suggested to the CVAG Transportation Commission that if Indian Wells and Palm Springs are the only people responding to your questionnaire, that we should just have a direct service between the two and skip the other cities. It didn't go over very well, but I thought it was a good suggestion. Does anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, we can move on. Okay, let's go to C3. Thank you very much for your presentation. Sunline is an incredible organization. Let's see here. We've got 20 minutes before, should we advance I-1, Chris, or should we go to Troon update?
I think we still got enough time. I think we'll be okay.
Okay, let's.
Robin said he'll keep it short.
Okay, Robin, here we go. Troon Golf update. You want to come on up?
Oh, sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City staff, residents. I'm Robin Graff. I'm honored to be the general manager of the Indian Wells Golf Resort. On behalf of Troon, my entire team of associates, we really thank you for all the support that you guys give us. So with that, hey, look, it works. As many of you have been in business for many years or done things like that, you all know that when you start your calendar year or your fiscal year, you always want the first part to be, the first quarter to be really great. Unfortunately, our first quarter starts in summer. So we're always playing catch up after that. But I'm happy to say that, our entire consolidated NOI is currently pacing ahead by over 8%. Right now we're down in golf, but that will catch up very quickly. Merchandise is doing extremely well, as so is the consolidated food and beverage. And then Kestrel will also catch up to its performance versus budget. So we are, this is through December. January is, we're just closing January now, and it's looking very strong. We have a very strong February on the books, as well as March. So a lot of things that we do, obviously, is that we want to hear from our customers, just as the Sunlight do. So. So mostly players right now, because of the cart path only, and I know how much everybody loves cart path only. We are experiencing some negativity there. It's unfortunate, but you know, in order for us to preserve the golf course for the future and for next season, we need to do that so grass can maintain healthy and to really give us a great playing experience. We're still doing some work out there. It's a long project, but personally, I'm really enjoying the new holes. So I hope that some of you are as well. The other thing is too, I just took a sampling of some restaurants here in the Indian Wells just to see how we're doing, and just in terms of Google ratings, you can see the different scores up there. So right now, Kestrel's up at a 4.7. Events and some things coming on with the staff is Friday night. This past Friday night, we held the McIntyre Wine Dinner. It was extremely successful and got a lot of great comments for that. It was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed that. We'll be doing some more of those throughout the year. And we have a big, obviously we have Valentine's Day coming up. Right now it'll sell out pretty quickly. So if you need a date, you need a place to go, this is the place to go.
Is that a normal menu or a special?
It is a special menu. And then on the 20th of February, we have Chef Richard Blaze coming back to join us, and we'll be doing a fireside chat. You know, there'll be drinks and appetizers. It'll be a great time to spend some time with him. If you haven't been to one of our Blaze events, you'll know that he's extremely personable, very charismatic, and really enjoys talking to everybody. We also have, we're working on the resident championship golf tournament, and there's more coming out on that, but that's not till April. But we are working on that and putting it together. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Hit the wrong button there. We recently added Charlie Solis for our director of Kestrel Restaurant. If you haven't had a chance to been up there and meet Charlie, please do. Really great guy. Recently, he was at the Hotel Paseo. So we're really happy to have Charlie here. He's got a very diverse background, and I think some of you have met him already. So we're very happy to have Charlie on board. And then for those of you who know Nick Leitner, our director of agronomy, just had his first child. So we're very happy for him and his wife, Katie. So he's off for a few weeks, leaving it to the capable hands of his agronomist. Marketing. I could probably spend 3 hours on what we're doing in marketing, but Chris told me I can only spend 2. So we got a lot going on in marketing. We have everything from print, digital, social. Anybody watch any of the golf this past weekend, you'll see that we had an ad on there. We were on some of the football playoffs on both CBS and NBC affiliates. We work with those guys continuously. We're in all the magazines you can possibly think of around here, so I can't even get into all. We do email blasts to 100,000 plus subscribers. Continuing to work on our stay and play programs. So there's a lot going on marketing. Ashley Scott is our director of marketing, and she's extremely busy. And then what's coming up? Well, we're looking forward to some really strong events coming up through our marketing things. We have, obviously we have Valentine's Day, we have the Blaze Dinner. Then we also have the Easter buffet, we'll have Mother's Day buffet. So we got a lot of things coming up. We're working on new events with Chef Blaze and of course, all the spring celebrations coming up. Because it feels like summer recently, doesn't it? And that's all I got. But I am open for questions. No questions, I'll leave.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. And apologies in advance, but I have to revert back to our last city council meeting. And I have to ask you if, do you believe that there are any residents or anyone gaming the system at the golf resort? And if so, does it affect the resident tee times? And if so, do you have any evidence of it?
It's hard to say. I mean, there could be somebody that figured out something that we can't figure out, but I don't think so in the overall scheme of things. I think that I can tell you that the biggest issue I think is that one, you got to get up early. You got to be on at 6 o'clock in the morning, get those times. But if you want a specific time, I think that's where we'll get complaints. So if I want to play at 7:30 and that time is already gone, I can't get it, it's a problem for me, right? There are lots of times available throughout the day that within 3 days that you book, and we showed that. We can see that on our T sheet. So there is availability. It's just that maybe the time you want isn't available.
But you said within 3 days. What do you mean by that?
Well, after 3 days, and all the hotel slots open up.
After, you mean before 3 days, not after? 3
No,
days.
if within 72 hours, you can book any open tee times.
All right.
Prior to that, you can only book the resident tee times. So I don't believe anybody's gaming the system. I think there was some of that in the past, but I think we curbed that. We keep an eye out for it. If something slips through now and then, I mean, that's just nature, but I don't think it's an issue.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just clarification, the 72-hour open window is for not the residents block, it's for the hotels, the public block that aren't being used.
If there any blocks that are open,
Okay, but is the residence block ever open at 3 days before? No. Okay, so yeah. So in theory, it's open, but in reality, it's not.
but the other times are open. So
I
public
know,
time.
but those are not residence times. Those are times that are not reserved for residents. Those are times that are reserved for non-residents.
Correct.
Okay.
So
fine,
I can tell you that with with Players Course recently, because the cart path only, more people are wanting to get on to Celebrity Course, right? Because you can drive on. So there's more. So within 3 days, there's been more open tee times on Players Course in some of the prime times, and we have more residents playing on the Players Course right now than we had.
Okay, but if we are only looking at the block of times that are reserved for residents, they are usually gone within a few hours, 14 days before the event. Is that
Pretty
correct?
much.
And they don't open up. They are booked solid through. So what you're talking about are extra slots that happen to be available, but they're not part of the resident block that because they're long gone.
Right.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Residents aren't limited to the so-called resident block. Residents can play anytime they want.
Anytime they
They
want.
can book a
just have to pay
time anytime they want. They're not limited to that one block.
They're limited to that one block for the resident price.
Yeah,
Now-
otherwise they can just play the
Within
rate.
3 days, they can book any time and they'll pay the resident price. But if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to book a month out, which just recently happened, by the way. Resident booked a foursome over a month out and got the time that he wanted in a non-resident time, and he paid the going rate.
Rack rate.
But if I come in 3 days before when the
gonna pay
hotels,
the-
I pay the resident rate, whether it's during the resident block, the hotel block,
Absolutely.
the open block, whether it's morning, noon, or afternoon.
Correct.
I'm still going to get a resident tea time.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
No, you're not going to
no,
get a resident
not the
tea.
block of tea times. You'll get any time that's available at the resident rate. But we
Okay.
have 33% of our tea times are reserved for residents 14 days out, right?
And
They
they're
can book.
gone before the day is out.
they're gone by 6:10.
Within 10 minutes, 100% of our residential
I would say
block is gone.
98%. Might have
98.
one here, one
Okay,
there.
So what we really need is a third golf course.
Or, yeah.
We need a third golf course.
Desert Willow.
Does anybody else have
Like I
any
said,
questions?
yeah, and like I said last time in the last meeting, maybe we shouldn't have such nice golf courses. We wouldn't have this problem. So
Does anybody have any more questions related to his presentation today? Anybody else?
thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Good job.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. So,
Mr. Mayor,
should we go to I1 now?
if we can, in consultation with city attorney, we'll move up item I1 now. Here, we'll do the staff report. If there's any questions from the council, any public comment on that one item, and we'll come back to your consent calendar.
Okay.
And just for the council's awareness, we do have special counsel with BBK on the screen, Isabel Safey, BBK partner, an expert in PERS and public benefits. And she has a hard stop at 2:30. So.
Hence moving this up.
Yep.
All right.
Attorney rate.
So, I guess what we're going to do here is, first enable a presentation here for I1. Who's going to speak on this behalf?
Good afternoon. That will be me. I'm Isabel Safi, and for Kevin's benefit, I am no longer subject to the hard stop at 2:30. So if the council has additional questions, I will be available. I originally had a soccer game for my child, but that got moved to Wednesday, so I am free now. Thank you for your time. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Isabel Safi. I'm a partner with Best & Krieger. I have been practicing in the field related to CalPERS compliance for over 20 years. And in the course of a regular and routine review of the city's pay schedules and the city manager's contract, I identified to staff that given increased scrutiny that we are seeing by CalPERS relative to what's reported to them, it was my recommendation that certain changes be made to the pay schedules and to the city manager's contract to ensure compliance, meaning that to ensure that what the city council has authorized and approved for compensation is recognized by CalPERS as reportable to CalPERS. Consistent with that recommendation, before the city council today are two requests that we are asking the council to take action on. The first one is to approve a resolution that approves pay schedules for effective July 1st, 2024, January 1st, 2025, and July 1st, 2025. The second action that we are asking is approval of an 8th amendment to the city manager's contract. Both of those actions or those items that we're asking the council to approve are solely for the purpose of CalPERS compliance. I want to make clear that it does not result in any increase to compensation. It does not request any authorization for compensation to be increased. It merely ensures that what has previously been approved by the city council is compliant for CalPERS purposes. In the pay schedules that are part of the resolution that we are asking the council to approve, what we've done is to ensure that previously approved increases are reflected accurately on the pay schedules. And we have also ensured that the pay ranges reflected on those pay schedules are consistent for all positions, meaning that the span between the low and high values are 25% across all positions for consistency and uniformity in terms of the range span itself. Any movement within that range remains subject to normal protocols for approval. So for example, any change in the compensation for the city manager remains under the sole discretion of the city council. The Eighth Amendment to the city manager's contract memorializes prior increases approved by the city council to reflect them as either COLAs, consistent with citywide COLAs, or merit pay increases. Again, these are increases previously approved on January 1st, 2024. July 1st, 2024, January 1st, 2025, and July 1st, 2025. With that, my report concludes. I am happy to address any questions from the City Council.
Thank you. Anybody have any specific questions for Ms. Safi related to this presentation specifically? Nobody? Okay.
Just a comment. I mean, just to cut to the chase, would you classify these amendments as technical?
Yes, and thank you for that question. These are technical in nature. The increased scrutiny from CalPERS includes identifying non-compliance related to absence of specific language or absence of specific approvals relative to compensation that otherwise would be reportable to CalPERS. And that's what we would call technical in nature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my comment is I have no idea what you're talking about right now. But I'm assuming that everything's being done legally in accordance with best practices by your law firm in order to make our city right with CalPERS. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
Move approval.
No comments.
No comment from the public? Okay, so do we have a motion for approval?
Second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimously approved. Should we go back now to?
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you very much. You can go.
Sounds
Maybe
good.
practice soccer, if not, go to a soccer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now I believe we are going to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We have city attorney report.
That's public comments comes first.
I stand corrected.
That's okay.
Yes, there are 3 speaker cards. We'll call up our first speaker, Andrew Stark, and then followed by Ted Nicholas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Andrew Starkey. I'm the president of Power Baseball and the California Winter League. This past weekend, we were lucky enough to host City of Indian Wells Day at Palm Springs Stadium during one of our California Winter League games. And it was a great success. It was a beautiful day, great baseball. I had the pleasure to sit and speak with you, Mayor Dr. Taylor and Councilmember Whitman. I enjoyed both of those conversations very, very much. And I hope this is the start of an annual tradition in the wintertime. I would love for it to continue and grow into an event that we could host at one of our summer Palm Springs Power Games. I do realize that our Coachella Valley and the City of Indian Wells residents are not as large in the summer, but our baseball team is entering our 23rd season. We've won 11 championships. It's a great event. And I'd love to be able to do that. And even Councilmember Whitman had talked to me about a marketing package. I would love to speak to the marketing team here at the city. And just overall, thank you guys all very much for city staff, the residents who came out and supported. Well over 100 people came out, or 100 tickets were distributed to Indian Wells residents and their guests. So thank you very, very much.
Fun day was had by all. Does anybody?
Well, will you confirm the pitch that I threw, that first pitch was not hittable, correct?
It was a nasty pitch. It was a nasty pitch, council member.
It was a little high and inside.
You know, chin music is great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next comment.
We have Ted Nicholas, followed by Douglas Hanson.
Welcome, Ted.
Hi, Ted Nicholas. My wife Ronnie and I have been residents of Indian Wells for 35 years. almost half our lifetime. I wanted to just clarify my understanding of the way the city works. I think like most residents, I don't know from first base. But the matter of clarifying the planning agency authority that's on the agenda today, my understanding is that the council really is the planning agency authority, and you delegate the homework that you need to do on that to the
Commission.
Planning Commission. And the commission, like yourselves, is 5 people. It's a fair number of people. And they handle a lot of interesting and complex situations, zoning, subdivisions, and so forth. The information that's given, the decision on what they plan is given to them by the city manager and the city planner, if I understand correctly. They go over it and then they present it to you, and that's presented at the general meeting in which the public is given the opportunity to find out exactly what kind of changes are going to be made. My understanding is that the possibility now is that the city planning or the planning commission may be bypassed, and that the information may be passed directly to the city council without the opportunity for that council to have had the homework done for them on some fairly complex issues. That may be wrong, in which case I shouldn't be standing here. But if it is correct, I think I would be concerned. That's really all I have to say. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yep.
Douglas Hanson.
Mr. Hanson.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are we doing today? Good? Having fun yet?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. A very simple request today, and it follows actually what Ted came up for. I would respectfully request and call upon Dana Reed or one of you to pull items G1 and G6 from the consent calendar so that there could be further clarity and discussion about those two items. Ted addressed it somewhat. There is concern, obviously, and discussion in the community. And for the sake of total transparency and good governance, I think if those two items were pulled and discussed and have a report on those, would benefit the community as well as yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so is that the end of public comments? Very good. That means we move to city manager reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. I have a couple of wonderful announcements to make. The first one is I want to announce that the City of West, our community on Tuesday received a $5 million grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to assist the city in completing the Whitewater Channel Improvement Project. Kudos to Congressman Ken Calvert, who championed this request on behalf of the city, as well as support from our U.S. Senators Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla. Through their support, the city has been awarded $10 million towards this critical infrastructure project in our community. Second, the congressman also was successful in inserting language into the U.S. Department of Interior's funding bill that was signed into the law, requiring that the department provide a congressional briefing on air quality monitoring in the Coachella Valley. This is an effort that the City Council has been a leader on here in the Coachella Valley, so congratulations to you as well. And I also want to thank our staff, as well as our federal advocate, Kylie Associates, who has been advocating for these with our leaders up in Washington, D.C. So congratulations to you all.
Very excited. Does that conclude your city manager comments? Okay. Anybody have any comments? No? Then let's move to city attorney report.
Mayor and council, as you know, the city council met in closed session this afternoon to discuss the items listed on the agenda. No action was taken at the meeting that needs to be reported under the Brown Act. We just updated council on some ongoing matters. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Okay, we'll move to the consent calendar.
Yes.
Does anybody have any items they'd like to pull?
Well, given Mr. Nicholas' comment and Mr. Hansen's request, I would ask to pull G1, table till next meeting and to get a staff report on it. I'm not sure I understood the purpose of the clarification either. So I think it's a good idea to
Well,
get
you
a staff
just want to
report.
pull it for discussion outside the consent calendar.
Pull it for discussion outside the consent calendar, table it till next meeting.
Well, I'm opposed to tabling it, but.
Well, I'm in favor of it.
Well, okay, but then we have to, well, first of all, we have to take it out of the consent calendar first.
Yes,
Okay, so what is your motion? One
to
and
take
six?
it out of the,
And.
no, I don't know about 6. I'm just 1. I have no problem with 6.
Okay,
You know, but number 1, I think does need some further explanation or
All right,
clarification.
so we're pulling number 1.
Procedurally, it would be appropriate to pull it and then during that discussion.
we could vote
If
on
there's a
whether
motion to continue. You could.
Understood.
Yeah.
Is there any other items on the consent calendar that would like to have pulled?
Well, it's my understanding G10 is already
G10 's
pulled.
ready.
G10 is pulled.
Already pulled.
Yeah,
so-
G10 and G1.
So G1 is the only one that I would
Okay,
ask to pull.
Move adoption of the remainder.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we then will, should we address those first as part of the next?
Certainly, I can speak to G1 right now. if you
Yeah,
like.
please.
G1 is, came before you last time too. This is the second reading, I believe. Should be, since we can't introduce on second reading. And this was initiated at the city attorney's request. And the reason why is it's really just to clarify, there's no substantive change happening in terms of the role of the task and the workflow through the planning commission. I'll read to you right now the brief statement in the current code, and I'll explain the need for the clarification. Right now, the code says, the city's code says, skipping a little bit, the planning agency is established for the city as a combination of the city council, planning commission, architectural and landscape committee, and the building and planning departments. From my perspective as your attorney and legal counsel, I need to know which one of them is the planning agency so that I can advise and guide you. The city council is included here. I believe that is the intent. Now, that's really just a formal technical label that's applied to the city council. It does not mean that the planning commission does not exist. It does not mean that the planning commission doesn't review things. In fact, this body or prior councils have tasked the planning commission with all of the roles that it has had, and it will continue to have unless there is a public discussion about changing those other parts of the code that say what their job is. I just need to know legally who is the planning agency, and it makes all the sense to me for that to be the body with the final decision-making power. That's again, a technical term. Planning agency does not mean planning commission. And so that's the need from my perspective, for the clarification. That's why I asked for it.
So in simple terms, you're asking the city council to approve, in essence, a motion that would clarify that the authority lies with city council over the planning commission?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, and it's already been introduced and approved for second reading. What you're being asked to do today is to adopt the ordinance. It makes that change.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. We no longer have an architectural committee or advisement.
That's part of what's driving.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So part of this will remove that language.
Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any specific questions?
I do. I just, when we're being asked to change something that a prior council obviously resolved or passed as part of our, is it part of our municipal code or part of our?
It's part of the municipal code.
Part of our municipal code. I assume that a prior council put that language into the law. And to me, when I'm being asked to change what is in the law into something that's different, I like to know the context of that. Why was the history of it? Why was it why was the statute drafted in the way it was originally, putting aside the architectural review, to make the planning agency a combination of three groups: the
Sure.
city council, the planning commission, and the planning department. So somebody in the past thought that that was a good idea.
Somebody in 1992 thought that that was a good idea. And I wish I could talk to them about that. But I and my colleagues cannot think of a good reason to spread. I think it creates ambiguity.
And if I may, is it really just an official adoption of the way conduct has been occurring since 1992?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, hold on. Public comment. Do we have any public comments?
No additional comments on this item.
Okay. Now, do I have a motion for adoption? Dana?
I said, yes, move adoption.
There you go.
Sorry.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to see a little bit more flesh on the bone in terms of the context of why that was done in 1992, if available, or whether this is something that it was a mistake by somebody else, or whether other cities do it this way. I just don't have a context for it. And since Mr. Nicholas came up here and shed some light on that, or asked some questions, I just feel like it would be good to have a little more knowledge about it. So I would like to send it over to the next month's meeting and have a short report on it, or a legal report on what the history of this is, and why was it drafted that way in 1992.
Does anybody else have any?
Well, wait a minute. Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
That is. Well, you have an emotion. You have a motion on the table.
But
I have a motion
Is it an
to,
amended
what is it, to
motion, or is it
table it
an-
till next meeting? I don't know what the motion should be.
has precedence,
Okay.
but it needs to be seconded.
Yep. Does anybody want to second Bruce's motion?
I was going to opine, if I may.
Please.
Okay.
It's not debatable.
This isn't a debate.
Motion to do
This is just this is for clarification purposes.
Well, there's still discussion.
Right.
And Brian wants to.
I don't
Please.
think it's
Okay,
debatable.
let's go back to 1992. And in that document, you have the city council, the planning commission, the architectural committee, and the planning department. Correct. The planning department should not be included within those other three or those other two if the architectural committee is cast away. So I don't see where the problem is on this. I think it's good that this is happening, because now we are cleaning up an ordinance here and defining the planning department as that's a staff entity, and the city council who has direction over the planning commission. Correct? I just wanted to clarify and make sure that I understand this.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's not taking any authority away from the planning.
No, it would take a different ordinance by this body to reshape or redefine the duties of the planning commission, which is not proposed here.
No. Okay, so do we have a second for Bruce's motion to postpone to the next staff meeting with a next city council meeting with additional staff back? An explanation. I do not hear a second. So that means we go back to the first motion to approve.
Yes.
Okay.
A comment.
Okay, please.
I've worked with this area of the law for a long time. The state planning and zoning law, which covers hundreds of pages in the government code, makes reference to the planning agency of a city. So there are certain legal obligations that flow to the city as a result of the planning and zoning code, particularly in reference to the planning agency. You can't have 4 different entities designated as the planning agency. You have to have one. And at the end of the day, the city council is responsible for everything that goes on in the city. So it's appropriate to designate the city council as the planning agency. For me, it's simple.
Thank you for your comment. We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask for.
Just a further comment. Thank you for that explanation. That's the kind of thing that I wanted to know. And I appreciate both of the comments in an area of law that frankly, I don't know that well. I don't know the planning agency part of the state law. So with that explanation, I'm satisfied with the proposal.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, so let's go then to, I guess, G10. That's been pulled, so who is going to speak on behalf of G10? Would that be you, City Clerk?
Yes.
Okay,
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Council, Angelica Avila, City Clerk. Today, I'm providing just a brief summary of item G10. These are the remaining items that were reviewed by the Governance Ad Hoc Committee. As a reminder, the committee was established in 2025 to review processes and policies. Several recommendations have already been presented to the council, and report just reflects the two remaining items for council consideration. The first item we have is the proclamation and certificate policy. The committee reviewed the city's practices for issuing proclamations and certificates. The committee recommends that the reoccurring proclamations be approved annually as listed in the policy and also in your staff report. Any other proclamations would require the majority of the council vote and approval, and all other proclamations. So that's what our changes are today for that item. Also, for certificates of recognition, the committee recommends any council members are the ability to sign and present these certificates, given that they provide that they do meet policy guidelines. So that's one of the items. The secondary item is the city council assignment draft process. The committee also reviewed this city council process assignment, which is called the draft system, which outlines how appointments to regional boards and committees are made. As noted in the report, this process currently follows a draft system based on seniority. The committee is recommending 4 assignments from the system be removed as follows, which is the Indian Wells Finance Committee, CVAG Executive Committee, Riverside County Transportation Commission, and Visit Greater Palm Springs. So these are under the recommendations. These assignments would be instead be determined by majority vote before the draft process begins. And this draft process does happen in December after an election year. So this is when this begins. So that concludes my report. This is just a summary, and I will just pass it on to our committee members, which is Dr. Topper Taylor and also Councilmember Reed. So then that concludes my report.
thank you.
If I may, Mayor.
Sure, please.
Can I ask to please bifurcate G10 and the Governance Ad Committee recommendation, certificate and proclamation separate from the policy relating to council assignments, please?
It makes sense.
And vote on this separately.
Sure. Yep. So does anybody have any issues with regard to the proclamation and certificate authorization recommendation? No.
Motion to approve.
No.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve that part of this governance recommendation.
Second the motion.
Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. The second issue is the recommendation about the voting to ensure consistency on key committees. Mr. Reed, would you like to comment on this?
Well, I'm in favor of it, at least as it relates to these committees that are regional in nature and very important that we have consistency. The Transportation Commission, for an example, quite honestly, it takes a very long time to get up to speed. And I believe the same is probably true with Greater Palm Springs as well. And to the extent that that the majority of the council wants to keep the continuity, it should be allowed to do so, in my opinion, as well as these other committees, and that it not be subject to the whim of somebody like me who happens to have served for longer than anyone else on this dais. Seniority is important, but seniority can also be a detriment, as I'm sure some people would suggest is the case in my situation. But that's a joke. Nobody's laughing.
I am.
I am.
There are a couple left.
So I mean, majority rules, the three, if the council majority wants to keep a particular individual on one of these very, very important committees, council majority should be allowed to do so and not be usurped merely because somebody who has served longer than them wants to take that position. That's why I support this.
Please, Greg.
Yes, thank you. Just to add to what Councilman Reed said, down at the granular level, if we're constantly rotating membership on these very important committees, then let's take CVAG, for example. A new appointee from the city of Indian Wells engages with other city representatives at the CVAG Executive Committee and has no chance of getting any significant policy initiatives through that committee because the majority of those representatives from other cities have served on the CVAG executive committee sometimes for years. And so they have a leg up with the staff. They have institutional knowledge. They control that committee. So I think we need to get away from this constant rotation for these committees so that institutional memory is gained, seniority on these other committees is gained, and we get better representation.
Now, just from a process perspective, we are just trying to address right now any questions we have on the technicality of the writing of this document. We can opine after a public hearing in a moment. Does anybody have any specific questions on the way this document is written?
The way what document?
The way the recommendation is written vis-a-vis the establishment of a vote for the representatives on these four committees.
Yeah, I do have a question
Okay.
about the way that the report reads from the governance committee. As I understand in reading of the report, the governance committee made a finding that the important qualities of a person to be selected by a majority vote are seniority, institutional knowledge, and an ability to understand the complexity of the agency. And I have a question about who is it on the governance committee that was advocating for the council to make a determination of the ability of other council members to understand the complexity of these committees and how that came to be.
Dana, do you want to comment?
Well, I would if I could remember exactly. I mean, to me, it just is common sense, and I can't remember whether that was anything that we had any long discussion.
Yeah, I
on.
don't think it was
But it
specifically.
was totally just common sense.
Yeah, just the idea of having a majority of city council vote for the representatives on these committees was the concept that was.
Okay, but my question was, there were parameters set out, and I'm just curious as to how somebody came to the conclusion that a majority of city council ought to decide what a fellow council member has the ability to understand the complexity of. I don't get that.
Okay.
Well, let's not get off track on, we don't have a motion yet, so let's be careful about how we ask these questions. And answer them.
To be clear, Mayor and Council, I understand from the clerk that you are in the deliberation stage because she asked for, or she noted that there are no public comments on this one, so you are now free to deliberate.
There is not a motion.
We-
There's no motion.
Just to clarify, we do have one submitted comment. Ms. Donna Griffith did submit a comment. So
Okay.
it will be
Would you read that, or can I read that?
up to the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, may I read the comment?
Sure, of course.
Okay. There's a comment from Donna Griffith, who's a former council member and mayor, that we were all given a little while ago. Dear council,
Oh, you read
I know-
it out loud. You want to read it out loud?
yes, I did.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
I
what he's-
didn't understand.
I noticed that a possible reorganization of the committee assignments process for city council is included on your consent calendar today. I am unable to attend your meeting today in person, but I thought I would respectfully offer my perspective as a former council member and mayor. I believe the current assignment process is fair and effective, as did former councils who put this method in place. This process already allows the most senior members of the council to choose their committees first in the draft, which in my experience ensures objectivity and minimizes the potential for politicization. While on city council, I found the current process to be fair and engaging, allowing me and newer council members to serve in areas of interest to them. While I understand the desire to explore new approaches and appreciate the hard work and dedication of the current council and the ad hoc committee, I've found that this current method is consistent with what residents have come to expect and trust as a transparent process for decision-making. In my experience, changing this process may not align with the fairness and clarity the Indian Wells community values so much. Thank you for considering my thoughts, and I look forward to your continued commitment to fair and above-board governance. You all are working diligently, and I'm sure the residents appreciate that. Sincerely, Donna Griffith.
Is that the last of the public comments? Okay. Do you have a public comment? Please, come on down.
Douglas Hanson, resident of Indian Wells. I would concur with everything that Donna Griffith just wrote in her to you. And having been there for 8 years, what you're suggesting now is an antithesis to everything that Dana Reed and Greg Sanders have argued before about longevity, about term limits, about serving in the city. What happens is that when you go into the draft system, everyone is equal except for the fact that seniority gets the preference on the first committee assignment. And each a council member then gets to select the committee based upon the seniority that they have. To change it allows 3 of you, as an example only, Dana Reed, Greg Sanders, and Topher Taylor, to select the council member that they want on those various committees that you have suggested to change. So what it does, it creates a power within the city council of allowing those 3 to control who goes on those committees. And also, gentlemen, you know, it's good sometimes that you have argued before that fresh blood, fresh ideas comes with new membership on the city council, and therefore provides a different perspective, possibly, maybe a better perspective to the city's position on those various committees. So I go back to this same old adage that we've used before: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the system that works now, and it's worked for everyone before you, okay? It was tried once before and failed back in 2011. This is the best system that you have now. If it's a power struggle within this council that you want to create in order to get power, then the system that you want to go to is probably where we're at.
Thank you. Well, as long as we're on a roll, does anybody else have a comment that they'd like to share? Mr. Peabody?
Hi, Peabody. I wasn't going to get up, but I went through this for 8 years.
And this system is extremely fair. I got to serve on the executive committee. I got to serve on every committee you're talking about. And it seems to me, I don't understand why this is even coming up. It's a fair system. It's worked for 10 years, worked for Dana, it's worked for all of us. We all got on committees we wanted to be on. Everybody's elected by the presidents. So we all ought to have equal rights and equal treatment. And I just say this is extremely unfair, particularly to those who don't get on committees they want to get on. So I think, when you look at the past has worked for over 20 years. Why would you ever want to change it now? They've been on the finance committee. They've done a fine job. They've been on for 2 or 3 years. That's fine. They got on that because they picked it as part of their selection process. To just arbitrarily now say, well, so-and-so is going to be in finance. The others are very qualified to be in finance. So to change this system and be unfair to any council person is not proper. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a comment on this particular subject? Okay, thank you. Now we move to either a motion so that we can further deliberate this.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay.
All right.
You want to? I'll go first.
Go first.
Okay. First, I want to acknowledge the logic, and it is a positive logic behind maintaining continuity on certain committees. However, I believe the unintended consequences outweigh the benefit. We are a rotating, term-limited council by design. That structure is meant to ensure shared governance and balanced participation, not concentrated or fixed committee influence. Assigning a council member to a committee for the duration of their term bypasses that rotational framework and alters how representation functions within this body. Equally important, residents voted for their chosen council member with the expectation that person would represent them in every capacity of council governance. Allowing a majority of council to control the limit those assignments duties dilutes the voter intent. For these reasons, I believe this approach risks division, undermines the structured residents approved, and is not a policy change that I can support.
Thank you. Bruce?
Okay. Mayor, I just learned of this recommendation by the Ad hoc Governance Committee really just 3 or 4 days ago for the first time. And I was totally blindsided by this. And as an old lawyer, what I do when I'm blindsided is I hit the books. And so I hit the books on this and went back to the history of governance in Indian Wells, going all the way back to before 2004, watching our prior council members like Mary Roche and Mr. Mullaney, Bill Powers, and many others discuss this very issue as it related to the rotation of mayor and mayor pro tem. So I've spent pretty much 24/7 of the last 3 days reviewing this history. And what I found from listening to Mary Roche, who's a great historian, by the way, was that we became a charter city by a majority vote of the residents in 2004. And before 2004, when we became a charter city, we were a general law city. And we followed state law in the majority vote for the mayor and the mayor pro tem and for committees. So when the residents voted to become a charter city, this included a unanimous vote in 2004 to change the selection process for committees to a draft process that we continue to use today. There has never been a complaint that anybody that I could find has ever made about any council member who was elected by the residents on any committee. I've never heard one complaint that they were not capable of understanding the complexities, or they didn't have the institutional knowledge or whatever. The Finance Committee is not the Finance Committee, it's the Finance and Legal Services Committee. And that is what it traditionally has been called, and it's still called that today. It's a standing committee of the City Council. It's not a regional committee. It's not a place where any of us discussed at any time, including at our strategic planning, that there was any need to have continuity over years or to have a majority vote of our council. CVAG executive has traditionally been the mayor. Again, I have not heard any complaints from anyone that the mayor, who's generally served at least 2 years on council, this mayor, there was a little bit of an anomaly because of personnel, has served 1 year, but generally the mayor has served at least 2 years and certainly has requisite institutional knowledge and the requisite ability to be on the executive committee of CVAG. RCTC, I thought that was the issue we were discussing. When I asked for an ad hoc committee on governance at strategic planning, the idea was from Councilmember Reed was that he thought that it would be good to have RCTC and CVAG transportation combined together with one person, one council member, for continuity's sake and for the sake of basically complementary business. I could see also with public safety and CVAG public safety or marketing and Visit Greater Palm Springs. I understand that, but finance is a city committee, and I see absolutely no reason that I can understand why finance and legal services would be put into a majority vote of council. I regard it as an insult to myself and to others on council. Every person on this dais was elected by the residents. Everyone has the responsibility and the privilege of serving and representing the residents of the city. Under this recommendation, and this has been said out there, 3 members could horse trade to grab all of these committees and shut out the other 2 council members. Is this what we want in Indian Wells? Is this the kind of governance that we want to see in our city? We have stature in the valley in Indian Wells. And the reason we have stature is not because of our population, because we're the smallest city. The reason we have stature is because we're recognized as a city that has fairness, that has financial conservatism, and that the residents are well supported with resident benefits, and people love to live here. I did appoint this ad hoc governance committee at strategic planning last April. The discussion that we had said nothing about the finance committee or having a majority vote or anything of that nature being discovered by finance. And that's why I was blindsided by this, because I had no idea until 3 or 4 days ago that this was a subject of the governance committee. The draft is objective and predictable. In the draft, if it went for the next year, if this didn't pass, and if I ran for office, myself and Mr. Sanders would have seniority for the first 2 selections, which traditionally the last few years have been finance. I haven't had an opportunity to be on finance in my 3 years, nor will I next year. Well, I could next year if I ran again. Mr. Penna would be the mayor, which traditionally under our policies goes on to the CVAG executive committee. That's been going on for years and years and years. With this amendment, 1 or 2 council members might collaborate with a 3rd member to get all of these committees. What happens if all 3 council members decide to vote for each other and freeze out the other 2? That's not our governance that we have had traditionally in Indian Wells. It would not be good for our city. There is precedent, as Mr. Hansen discussed. In 2009, a divided council, a split council voted to have a majority of council vote for its selection of mayor and mayor pro tem. That lasted for 2 years. In 2011, what was the result? According to the council members who were speaking at the meeting in 2011, where this was considered again, dysfunction, dissension, and politicization of council. Within 2 years, it was changed back to a rotation in 2011 by unanimous vote of council. And we've had it that way ever since. How does this further the general rule in our policy manual, section 3.04.020, which is the suggestion is we should change, that, quote, council shall attempt to spread the various assignments so that each council member fairly shares the responsibility of representing or conducting the business of the city. The answer is it doesn't further that. The draft does. Further, there's no process in this recommendation. Under this plan, a member of the ad hoc governance committee could, without seniority, make this recommendation to council, garner 2 more votes, then nominate himself to all 4 committees, vote for himself, and promise another member without seniority to vote for him in return so that they could go on another committee. This recommendation inevitably leads to a system subject to abuse, behind closed doors politicking, and potentially corrupt horse trading. And I know that's strong, but that's potentially what could happen in our city. In closing, I suggest, in order to fulfill the rationale of the ad hoc staff report, that once a council member has selected RCTC or CVAG transportation in the draft, that other committee be removed from the draft to be held by the same council member. The same for public safety and CVAG public safety and marketing and visit GPS. I would move an alternate motion that we preserve those 6 committees for one council member to serve on both for continuity's sake, which I thought was the idea of having the ad hoc governance committee review this plan. No other changes. That's my alternate motion.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any
Wait a
comment?
minute.
Second.
Oh, is there a second? Is there a second to?
I want to hear the motion aside from this dialogue.
The motion is that that we continue to have the draft, that once a council member has selected RCTC or CVAG transportation, that other committee be removed from the draft to be held by the same council member. In other words, one council member would be both on RCTC and CVAG transportation. And then the same thing for public safety and CVAG public safety and marketing and visit GPS. As I understood the reason that we were having this governance committee, it was for continuity. So I think that's the reasonable way to assure that we have continuity on these committees and we have people who are addressing similar issues on both committees.
I have a question for the city attorney. Does this council have the power to do this, to cast this vote? Because if this is a 3-2 vote and this becomes part of the policy, do we have that power to do so?
Yes.
Okay. I second your motion.
Any discussion on the second motion? Yes, Dana.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for Council Member Whitman. You indicated that you've never heard any complaints about our committee system. And I'd like to just remind you that when Mr. Hanson was on the Sunline Committee, we got nothing but complaints about how abusive he was to staff and to other members of the Sunline Board. It was a constant drumbeat, and we were asked, is it possible that we could possibly remove him from that committee because he was so disruptive?
Come on.
The other one is Mr. Peabody on CVAC, where we again got nothing but complaints about his activities at CVAG? And is there any possibility that we could appoint somebody else to CVAG? So the complaints have happened, not among the five of us, but by previous council members. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention, that the existing system, while is rocky at best.
I'd like to add, we're all up here because we were elected to be up here. And it would not be equitable for the resident if we were not allowed to choose a committee. It was chosen by someone else. And I just want to make that very clear. That will create a cabal on this dais, and it will be it will be quite divisive, and that's what will come. You can see it coming a mile away. I have no more to say.
If I could just answer Dana, Mr. Reed. So whatever happened in the past, I didn't hear that happened because of our seniority draft system. It happened, if it did, because of the personalities involved, not because of the draft. I'm on the Sunline Committee, and I've been on CVAG Executive. I don't know that anybody ever complained about my service on either of those committees. I've never heard any other complaints. We're talking about personalities here. We're not talking about whether the draft system works or not.
Well, except the draft system means we can't replace them. They've chosen it. They have it right. We could have 3 members of the council who do not want Mr. X or Miss X on this particular committee, and there's nothing we can do about it.
There's a remedy for that.
No, there isn't.
Well,
The remedy, I guess, is to recall the town. That's about the only remedy.
But may I remind this council that this is not our will. This is the will of the residents. This is not our will. They've all voted for us to be here to have an equitable council.
Yeah.
Period.
Thank you. You've made that point. Is there any other comment on this topic? On the second, I guess on the second motion specifically?
I seconded.
Yeah, just a comment. I don't see how the substitute motion solves the problem of the city having continuous representation on these key committees where seniority on these committees equates to clout that the city has on these committees. City of Indian Wells, we get tsunamied at the CVAG Executive Committee. Let me give you an example. Virtually all of the federal and state transportation money that flows into the Coachella Valley is funneled through CVAG, and the CVAG Executive Committee determines how that money is spent. We're talking about billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars. And if you don't have some institutional memory, some relationships developed with other members of the CVAG Executive Committee, if you don't know the staff, if you don't know the process, then Indian Wells will get 0. And that's what's been happening for years. See, Indian Wells is getting nothing in terms of those transportation dollars. We have a very critical piece of infrastructure that needs to be built, transportation infrastructure. And you know what? It's never going to be built because all of the money is going to interchanges up and down Interstate 10. And that's because Indio and other cities have continuous, consistent representation on the CVAG Executive Committee. So we're talking about very, very, very significant economic benefit to this city that's at stake.
Can I suggest that we separate out its discussion, each one of these individually instead of lumping them? Because I understand, although Councilmember Sanders was on the CVAG Executive Committee as mayor. I was, Mr. Reed, and Brian should have his opportunity. But I would suggest that each of these should be separated and voted on separately, as I have suggested. For example, nobody's given any examples why Finance Committee should be voted on by a majority of the city council. I haven't heard one word of why that committee, which is a standing city council committee, should be decided by a majority vote. I get the arguments that's been made about CVAG executive, and I've suggested a way to remedy this RCTC and visit Greater Palm Springs. But what about finance? Finance and legal services. Why shouldn't that be continued like all the other city committees, marketing? Every one of them is selected in the draft by seniority.
I'd like to make a point of order,
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor. We're discussing the substitute motion, which you made. Now, are you changing your substitute motion?
Okay.
No,
Can I-
it's a matter of
can I-
discussion.
can I jump
It's
in
a
here?
matter of discussion.
Let
I
me,
was saying-
let me jump in here. Let me jump.
Because I've asked a certain way to resolve this problem.
Yeah.
But you have a substitute motion
do.
that has been made and seconded.
Am I allowed to discuss it further?
Well,
Under Robert's
Yes.
rules?
Yes.
the answer is yes.
Yes.
Your substitute motion has nothing to do with the finance committee. It
Well,
wasn't
yes, it
even
does.
mentioned.
It does, because I suggested that it not be included.
Gentlemen, please,
Okay.
please. Okay. So, I haven't said anything. I'm on the committee by appointment. And, the notion here was to create consistency, especially with these bodies that involve tremendous amounts of money. And where respect, anyone who has served on any of these outside committees, finance aside, would have a hard time arguing that seniority, being in those committees for multiple years, has an impact on our ability as a city to be influential. So I've listened to what everyone has said here, and I would like to present a third motion, which would be to approve as recommended, excluding the Finance Committee, which is a city committee and sits differently than the other three being discussed here today. So that the motion is that the city council will vote on the representative for the Coachella Valley Association of Governance Executive Committee, the Riverside County Transportation Committee, and Visit Greater Palm Springs, but that the Indian Wells Finance Committee will be part of the draft process as currently defined. That's my motion. And do I have a second? And the answer is?
I'll give you a second.
I'll second
Give
it.
you a second.
I'll second. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I like
That doesn't mean I'm going to vote for it.
I
I'll give you a second.
understand. Okay. Does anybody want to debate what I've just suggested? Okay. Can we have a roll call, please, to approve the third motion as stated?
Councilmember Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna,
yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next subject. Thank you, gentlemen, for a very good discussion, and I am proud of our ability to debate and for people to listen to each other and respect each other's positions. All right, what do we have here? What are we on now?
I2.
We are on I2. Okay. Councilmember Whitman requests for a consideration of inclusion of a resident impact statement.
Oh, boy. Let's see today.
There you go. Now, is this going to be presented by Mr. Seja?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. This item is being brought forward in accordance with City Council policy. Councilmember Whitman brought up an item in December. It was continued in January to this meeting to discuss the inclusion of a resident impact statement on future City Council reports. City Council reports are based on factual information. They're professionally prepared by city staff, outside consultants, as well as legal counsel. And these reports facilitate procedural and legal requirements, as well as foster transparency and public understanding of items before the City Council. Staff has a concern with inclusion of a resident impact statement in that these statements can be highly subjective. They can be politically motivated and nuanced depending on individuals or groups of residents. In our review, we have not discovered a single community that includes these as part of their staff reports. But with that information, it is up for city council discussion. That's the conclusion of my report.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
As I read the staff report, the staff believes that the issue of resident interest or resident impact is already included in the body of the staff reports that are issued. Is that a correct statement based on your staff report?
That's correct. And depending on the type of staff report, we can use a CEQA example. When there's a project before you that includes a CEQA action, there's a ton of information that's presented as part of that report related to the impacts of development and traffic impacts. When it comes to other policy discussions, we are certainly providing options as well as fiscal impacts as a result of any policy action taken by the council. So we believe there is sufficient information in a city council report for the council to make a decision and for the residents to understand what the impact would be.
So your objection is setting out as a separate category, not the information that would be contained in it, correct?
Yeah, the information that I think we're concerned about is moving from an objective analysis to a subjective.
Okay. That's my only question.
Does anybody else have any questions for staff? It's my experience that having lived here now for a number of years and gone to many public hearings on important issues, that there for large subject matters, whether it be like safer streets, et cetera, we have open hearings for people to come and present their issues, and therefore that will continue, so that in essence, and what we have found in many of these cases is that these issues can be quite contentious. In other words, should we put in sidewalks or should we not put in sidewalks? For example, should we put in a park or not put in a park, for example? And it's not clear for city council, it's not clear for staff to set strategy and policy for the city. That's our job. And it's also in creating public hearings or sending out potential surveys, et cetera, to understand what our residents want to do. And then it's up to us as elected officials to actually create that strategy for deployment. And so I don't think any of that process is going to change. I'm simply reiterating the current process, which seems to work effectively.
Is that the question?
No, it's a comment to staff. In essence, the question is, we're not going to change any of the current way a recommendation comes on significant decisions. We're still going to continue to have public hearings and public input. Correct? Thank you. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody have public comments? Any public comments that haven't been blue slipped? Happy to hear them. Okay. Do I have a motion for I2?
I move that the council or that the staff have a separate section that talks about resident impact, in accordance with the same way that apparently Visit Greater Palm Springs is going to have a separate section on what they call resident sentiment, to capture resident perceptions, the impact of tourism, and community benefit. I think it's a good thing to have for the residents. So I would move that we have a separate section.
Is there a second? So there is no second. Does that mean then that if there is no second, does that mean this motion dies?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if there is no second, we're moving on to the next. Council members' reports and comments. Call for each council to provide reports and comments. Mr. Whitman, would you like to start?
Yes. I'll be back up for there. See if I've got that separated out here. As it turns out, some of the committees that I went to came in and made presentations today, which cut down what I needed to report. The Children's Discovery Museum had their annual fundraiser Tuesday evening, was very well attended. Cove Communities, we received a report from the Joslin Center as to current happenings and budget and fire and police reports, including some discussion about, what do you call these things? What do you call drones as a public safety method. Desert Sands, Councilmember Sanders and I met with the superintendent and a board member and reviewed some of the new AI rules and features and the community report that they had issued. Golf Advisory, we already heard a report there. And Sunline, we got a report there. I would only add that they have what they call the rodeo, and that's ROADEO, February 28th at the Palm Springs Convention Center. I haven't been to it, but I'm going to go this year. Apparently, you know, there's all kinds of contests, driving buses and smaller vans and so on. The Eisenhower Extraordinary Gift Request Ad Hoc, Councilmember Reed and me met and discussed next steps for community involvement. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Reed.
I attended the RCTC workshop. It was a 2-day workshop in Cathedral City. I prepared a detailed memo and I submitted it to the council and the clerk. So it's a matter of public record. Anyone who wishes a copy, just ask for the clerk. The clerk will email it to you if you're interested. Thank you.
Is that the end of your?
That's the only thing that happened
Okay.
since our last meeting.
Okay, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things at the Animal Campus Commission meeting this morning, which I serve on. It was reported that we're up to 92% of live animal releases from the animal shelter here in the Coachella Valley, and that's a very significant improvement over roughly in the 70% range, where about 30 or more percent of the animals at the animal shelter were euthanized. So it's trending very rapidly toward a no-kill shelter, which I think is very admirable. In terms of the Coachella Valley Clean Air Ad Hoc Committee, a couple of matters to report. First of all, Mayor Taylor and I met with the superintendent of the Desert Unified School District, Desert Sands Unified School District, and senior staff to discuss the effect of the dust storms we've had in the wake of Hurricane Hillary, and the impact of those dust storms on students that attend their schools. I think from what we heard, the impact is pretty significant. They're gathering data for us in terms of the larger data gathering effort to convince the regulators that we do have a problem here. And in addition to that, as the city manager reported, we do have in the conference report language on the Interior Appropriations Bill a direction to the Interior Department and essentially the Environmental Protection Agency to get involved in investigating the problem we have here, and I think that'll be a very good help. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Penna.
Thank you, Mayor. I need to speak on Indian Wells Preservation Foundation. They have an event coming up Friday, February 27th. It's a cocktail soiree fundraiser on Fairway Drive, celebration of Desert Bel Air Showcase House in the National Register of Historic Places. That's coming up in February. In regard to community activities, we had the movie night scheduled for February 14th. I'm sorry, excuse me. Which date was that? February 14th. But is it for the
12.
It's a 12th. That's right. It's 12. And due to some possible weather conditions and cold, we are going to push that out into March. And so we'll reach out with a new date on that. The Palm Springs Air Museum Residence Day is on Valentine's Day as well. Those hours are 10 to 5. Salton Sea Tour slated for 2/18/26. And then we have a second Salton Sea Tour scheduled for 2/25. Greater Palm Springs, Visit Greater Palm Springs was here and gave their presentation, so I don't need to opine on that. And as well, Mayor Whitman, or excuse me, Council Member Whitman attended that meeting in my absence. And that's all I have to report. Oh, I do have one more thing. Excuse me. I did go to the homeless committee in lieu of Mayor Taylor. He was absent that day, and I visited the psych center, the JFK Off Center Psych Center mental health facility in Indio. It's a brand new center. They have 80 beds. It's a great addition to the Valley. They do accept, they're not publicly funded. They're insurance based, and they do take state funding. So there's another avenue for police to, if they have somebody that's homeless and needs mental help, they have a place to take them besides taking them to the hospital. So it's actually a great thing, and it's a brand new facility. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. So I attended the Cal Cities 2026 Mayor's Council Academy in Sacramento. And I am grateful for our fine city and the ability to conduct meetings like this with open, candid debate, but without violence. There are many, many cities that are going through an extraordinary time right now where council meetings are being disrupted physically. So there's a lot of consternation right now over how to conduct a city council meeting, et cetera. Also, interestingly enough, in the Bay Area, the amount of public record requests are overwhelming for people who, software companies who want to upload every piece of information for knowledge and learning for AI. A lot of conversations around AI and how we can deploy AI in our city. And interestingly enough, one of the interesting topics that came up was a Public Records Act request could include your AI questions that you put into ChatGPT. California Cities Governance, Transparency, Labor Relations Policy Committee. So we had a very interesting meeting there. I mean, I got to tell you, I was not in the neighboring meeting in a room next door. There was almost a fist fight between people who are among cities where there are warehouses, and the idea of sharing the taxes received by the warehouse communities to either the county or the state. And of course, some of these cities have built their forecast financially for their cities based on a certain level of taxation. And now the various committees within Cal Cities were recommending that revenue be shared. And I think it got the vote by a skinny margin, making those warehouse cities very frustrated. With that said, the Labor Relations Committee, we actually talk about a position which I was probably the lone vote against on the definition of artificial intelligence and our within the Cal Cities and our position on it. So news on that later as that continues to be addressed in the Sacramento area. I'm sure you're going to see some laws and legislation come through this year on artificial intelligence vis-a-vis governance and city legislation. I want to take this moment to thank everybody in Indian Wells who responded to my note to complain to the Palm Springs Airport and to the FAA. My goodness, have we had an impact. Some 200 letters went out, and now we have their attention. And so there's all kinds of extra hearings that are beginning to happen, all kinds of extra meetings, and to discuss the FAA air flight pattern, which is, as of June, without notice, flying right over Indian Wells. And I get more comments about the flight pattern than any other issue in Indian Wells at the moment. And so I hope we can find a solution that works for everyone. So I will continue to press, and to the extent there's more action to be taken, we'll let you know. Clean air. So we thank you, Greg, set up a great meeting with the school district. Just want to emphasize, as it turns out, there are more recesses closed, more outdoor physical education classes closed over the last 4 years than any time before because of dust in our air. Ken Calvert, our congressman, while not only giving us some funding for the Whitewater Channel, also was able to get a meeting established in the language within the next 90 days to discuss the land that CVAG has identified along with this ad hoc committee comprised of Greg and I, which is about 3,000 acres outside of Cathedral City, which we all believe is one of the source problems for airborne dust. That land is owned by Fish and Game, which is federally owned, and which Ken Calvert is now working to at least get a meeting together to address ways that we can deploy solutions to mitigate airborne dust from that area. It's very exciting. I got to tell you, these things, airport, clean air, FAA flight patterns, when you get elected to a city to talk about, the impact of potholes or sinking traffic lights, you don't really realize you're getting into these kinds of national and state level issues. But a loud voice, a sophisticated, intelligent, well-educated voice, which comes from our council, which comes from all the members up here, which come from our legislative consultants, which come from Cal Cities and CVAG and all the organizations that we belong to help inform us, actually make an impact. And the impact we're having is tangible. So I just wanted to make sure that all of you were aware of that. The Golf Resort Advisory Committee we're going to have a city golf championship coming up. We're going to, anybody who wants to, I think, pay around $450 for a 2-day golf tournament. It's not being subsidized by the city. It's just a wonderful opportunity for the best golfers in Indian Wells to come out to become champions of Indian Wells, and hopefully it'll be in an annual tournament. And it includes golf on 2 days, lunch, a donation to First Tee, and we are going to have a perpetual trophy that'll be visible in the Indian Wells golf complex there for the winner. We'll have gross and net. We'll have amateurs, seniors, super senior categories. A lot of fun. More on that you'll be seeing momentarily. That's all I have for the moment. I believe that means this council meeting is adjourned. The next meeting will be held on March 5th at 10:30 a.m. Thank you for your time and attention. We look forward to seeing you then.